Good evening to you all. Today we have a great and special guest who is consultant for Christian-Muslim relation, and he is president of Carolina Coastal Coaching and is certified leadership coach with the John Maxwell team. So, Assalamu alaikum and good evening,
Good evening.
dear honorable. Good evening. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, I would request you to introduce yourself for our audience.
Yes. Well, you did a great job introducing me. My name is Jeffrey Burns. I have an earned doctorate in peace studies, and I was a Christian minister, pastor for 18 years until God called me to be a peacemaker. And I am also a life coach. I have multiple certifications. And so I do coaching, I do peace work, and then I do writing. And when I'm not doing that, I'm in the ocean. So, yes, that's a little bit about myself. Yeah.
Okay, so before we start our session, that what is the secret? The background is a beautiful background. I can see it is written
Yes.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Yes, this is my little studio, I call it, and and because I'm a peacemaker, I have spent many years building bridges between Muslims and Christians, churches and mosques, and helping them become friends. And I love the Bismillah. Even though I'm a Christian, I love the Bismillah, in the name of God, most merciful, compassionate. I love that. And
MashaAllah, great.
every surah in the Quran has that except one. And so in the Quran, when you read the intro with the Bismillah, it's a reminder that God is merciful and compassionate, and that no matter what is in that surah, it comes out of God's mercy and compassion. And so I have this Bismillah behind me to remind myself and to remind my Muslim audience, because I have 3,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel, Jeff Burns. I follow the path. And to remind my Christian audience that we worship one God and that he is merciful and he is compassionate. And so whenever there's conflict or whenever we don't know how to feel about each other, we must remember, if God is merciful and compassionate, then we must be merciful and compassionate to each other.
Great that you are playing a major role in creating peace among Muslims and Christians. It's great work.
Mhm.
I really honor.
Oh,
Okay,
mhm.
so as you know, that today's topic is becoming a person of influence. So we
Yes,
will start that. What is leadership? What do you
yes,
think is a leadership?
that's a very good question. We live in a world right now that is in a leadership crisis. And I don't care where you are. There are good leaders and bad leaders, but unfortunately, we have a lot of bad leaders that are often leading our governments, leading our organizations. And so people say, well, what is leadership? Well, Dr. John Maxwell, who trained me, said leadership is influence. That's what it is, influence. And if we are good leaders, we're going to have the ability to influence people in a positive way. So that's what leadership is. Leadership is influence. It's nothing more and nothing less.
Okay, great. So what is influence?
That's a good question. Influence is the ability to add value to people's lives. So good leaders add value to the lives of the people they serve. So you're a teacher. Teachers are leaders. They may not realize. I mean, you teach. You could be a bad teacher and say, "I'm just going to teach, get a paycheck. I don't care about my students." We've all had teachers like that, that really just. Or you can be a good teacher and say, "I care about my students. I want them to succeed. So I'm going to add value to them. I'm going to figure out how to help." Like you're doing this channel. You're doing this channel because you want your students to grow. You want young people to be inspired. So you're adding value to their lives by bringing speakers in. So leadership is influence, and influence is adding value to people's lives. Now, some leaders lead by manipulation. You know what I mean by manipulation? They will try to manipulate the people to get the people that work for them to do what they want to do, or they lead by position or domination. There are a lot of leaders that lead countries even, or leads that people don't like them. Their own people don't like them, and they don't lead by influence. They're not adding value to people's lives. They're leading by manipulation and domination. So leadership is influence, and influence is how can I add value to the lives of the people that I'm serving.
Okay, so we can say that it possesses more value, more influence to motivate people. Like we can say, teacher is not a king but a king maker. So
Right. Very good.
through his influence, he motivates his students, his pupils. Okay.
Yes,
So my next
exactly.
question is that what are the leadership skills? What are the
That-
ingredients of leadership?
yes. Well, that's a good question. So there are certain skills uh, for leaders. Now, here's the thing. There are some people that are born, uh, maybe with their personalities, they're more natural born leaders, but anyone can be a leader. You know, on a scale of 1 to 10, if 10 is a outstanding leader, anyone can become a 7. You know what I'm saying? That's what I do in my trainings. Anyone can become a 7. I don't care if they're introverts or extroverts if they have the right training. So there's certain skills. One of the first skills is communication, the ability to communicate with people. I don't mean talk at people. I mean the ability to communicate with them and connect with them. So every leader should focus on increasing their communication ability and becoming better communicators. Like, for instance, when you teach a class, you might want to each time think, okay, how can I make this class better? How can I make this clearer? You know, and how can I make this less complicated for those maybe that I want to add value to help them move along? So communication is important. Adding value is a leadership skill. You know, one thing about Nelson Mandela, it was said of him that, and I noticed you have Nelson Mandela's quote on your wonderful YouTube channel, and I love that. Nelson Mandela um, knew the names of all the people around him. He took time to learn their names. He took time to learn their hobbies, the names of their children, and you know, even his bodyguards. He didn't treat people as service people. You know what I'm saying? He didn't treat them as you're here to serve me, and that's one reason people loved him so much, was because he added value to them. He learned their names, and one of the greatest ways you can add value to a person is to learn their name and learn the way they think and feel, and learn how they learn. You know, not everybody learns the same. You know, the other leadership skill is delegation. Some leaders try to do everything. You know, they try to, I got to do everything. And that's not good. We should operate out of our strengths. You know what I'm saying? We should operate out of our strengths. I remember, I think you told me, and if it's okay to say this, with your channel, which is really good. You know, you said, I have students that help me would do certain things, you know, on the channel, you know, that I don't do. And that's great. What you've done is you've delegated. You realize I can't do all the production. I can't do all the, I can do the interviews. I can do what I do well. That's what you do well. You talk to people and you do that, and then you delegate. So what we need to do is lead from our strengths, and in the areas that we're weak, we can bring people around us that have strengths in our weakness, you know? So that's a leadership skill. And the other is listening. Okay, that is very important. That's for a good leader, is to be the ability to listen. A lot of leaders want to come in our country, the United States. I'll talk about us. Our Congress only has an 11% approval rate. That means that 89% of the American people don't even like our own Congress. You know what I mean? Because they're leading by position. They don't put themselves under the same, you know, the same things that they pass laws on. And we have many good leaders too. But it's a thing where they're not listening. You know what I mean? They're not listening to the people. So listening means, Stephen Covey once said, he wrote a book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. He said that one of the first things is this in listening: seek first to understand someone before being understood. Seek first to understand before being understood. That requires listening. And then you need to, as you're listening, you need to learn their names, find out what makes them laugh, what makes them sing for joy, what makes them sad, what makes them angry, what tugs at their heart, what causes maybe, you know, that make something. It could be social justice. What is it that pulls at their heart? That's what good leaders. And another one that's very hard, for a lot of leaders in listening, is learn to take feedback. Do you know what I mean by feedback? Some might call it, like constructive criticism, whatever. So if someone comes to a leader and complains or says something, instead of being defensive, sometimes we have to say, okay, this person has brought me some information. There may be some truth in it. I need to listen to it and not take it personally and grow from it. And when you do that, people will respect you. Yeah.
Okay, you want to say that we speak more, but we don't listen, and
Yeah.
we need to give feedback, but that should be constructive feedback, so that
Right.
we can improve a lot. That should be the most
Yes.
important.
Yes.
We speak more and more, but we listen very less. So this is the
Yes.
most important, that we need to understand. We need to listen, and we need
Yeah.
to give feedback that should be constructive for the
Yes.
sake of
Yes.
improvement. Okay,
Yes.
so next is that everyone communicates, but few connect. What is the
Yes.
most effective people do differently?
Um, I think I understand your question. You mean how do people connect? How do Is that what you're asking
Differently.
me?
What
Differently. Okay.
the effective people do differently?
Yeah.
Something different.
How do they do differently? Um, a lot of people, there are basic communication skills that we all need to learn. Simple skills. Listening, empathizing. Um, not trying to listen with the goal of I got hurry finish so I can talk. But connecting is another thing. Connecting means listening and communicating and connecting with the story of that person. Do you know what I'm saying? And we all do that differently. We want to connect with the story of that person. What makes that person tick? What makes that person work? Why is that person the way they are? And when you begin to learn someone's name, like I said, I tell people, anybody can connect with someone, but you learn their name. You ask them what brings you joy, what kind of things make you sad. Just ask questions. What's one of the happiest days in your life? What are your dreams? What do you want to be? And you start asking those questions, people feel like you're adding value to them, that you want to be, that you're interested in them. You know what I'm saying? And I think that we all may communicate differently. Some communicate more through body language. Some people may communicate more
Mm.
verbally. Some people may communicate. There's different ways. And so, but we have to learn to, how do you say this? Connect in that communication. Like if someone's mad and they're acting mad, but they don't talk to someone about it, then how can the other person know that they need to correct the problem? Do you see what I mean? So, yeah.
How to positively impact the lives of others? How we positively impact the lives of other people?
Yes, that's a good question. Well, there's an old saying that if you help people uh, get what they want, they'll help you get what you want. So one of the things you do is you just help people. Is one way you help positively. There's just some people they just want people to help them. They just want people to help them move up in life, but then they forget about the people that help them. So one of the things you do is you like a student. So what you're doing, I want to help my students go to the next level. I want to help them to achieve some dream or put dreams in them, tell them that they can do it. You know what I mean? So, but what I've learned is if you help people reach their goals, that's going to impact them positively. And then, they're going to probably turn around at some point and help you reach a goal, because everybody's interconnected in the end. You're in Pakistan, I'm in the United States. It doesn't matter. Everybody is interconnected. And every time we help someone and we connect with someone, it sends off a spiritual vibration. I believe that in the world for good. But they call it the butterfly effect. And I just believe that's how Allah works. I believe that's how God works, is through helping people. And so we connect, we help people, we do something for them. We don't expect anything in return. We got to remember that. We're not doing it to get. We're doing it because we want to help people. But there's just something about it. When you help people and you make that a habit of your life, it comes back to you. Do you see what I mean? In a positive way. So I think that we need to, part of it is living our lives with keeping people and in the forefront of our lives. If everybody did that, whether a teacher, whether they're a student, like there might be a student who makes straight A's. Maybe that student could say, I got a friend who's struggling. hey, I'm going to help them. I'm going to help them with their studies. I want to help them if they want that. They're great. And you know what? That student's going to remember that, and it's a way of the water rises and all the boats go up, So, yeah,
Okay, next is that how to be a great role model.
good question. Well, I think, first of all, we need to be the change in the world that we want to be. You know what I mean? If we want the world to be a better place, we got to be better people. If we want to change things, we have to be willing to change ourselves, and that means if you want to be a good role model, you have to live out of your values. People got to figure out, okay, what are my values? Well, a value is honesty. Okay, so if we want to be good role models, we got to be honest, right? We got to be honest people. We got to be people of integrity, and that means that we keep our promises. Like you shared
That we
someone.
mostly don't keep
Yeah,
them.
a lot of people don't. They don't show up. What you told me, and but we keep our promises to the best of our ability. And if we can't, we go back and say, "I'm sorry, I can't do that." We honesty, integrity, openness. I think is being a role model. Openness to other people, openness to feedback and change is how we become good role models. Willingness to be a role model. Saying, I'm willing to let this person into my life. I'm willing to help this person, or I'm willing to receive help. Sometimes it might be I need to receive help. See, a lot of times people think a role model is somebody that has all the answers. They may not. A role model can be someone who says, I may have all these strengths, but I have weaknesses too. And you have that strength. I'm coming to you in humility. Maybe you can help me with that. And that teaches that other person, wow, if this person is such a strong person and they need my help too, that's an encouragement to me. Do you see what I mean? And then one of the big one is to work on ourselves. That's a big one. You want to be a role model? Keep growing. Like you're taking classes. You told me. I think you're taking classes online. You've got a YouTube channel going. What you're doing is you're growing as a person. And if you keep growing, then the people you influence are going to grow too. They're going to say, if he can start a YouTube channel, I can start a YouTube channel. You see, if he can, yeah.
And that is a reality that you're just giving example. But many of my students, many of my friends, they get inspiration from me and they started their YouTube channel as well.
Mm-hmm.
And you have given example of beauty or simplicity and truth, that we need to create such ingredients in our life first to prove
Yes.
ourselves that we speak lie, truth, we speak do. So whenever we speak truth, and then we could be a role model for others. But when we
Exactly.
ourselves are not speaking truth, then how can we be a role model for others?
Yeah.
And even
Yes.
one great example of Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, he is Rahmatul Alameen, as you
Yes.
know, so that he, whatever he used to see, he did. He implemented
Yes.
his life. That's the reason he is considered as a great role model for us, and even for the
Yes.
entire humanity. The way he
Yes.
talked, the way we walk, the way he told us each and everything in the life. So that's the reason he's
Yes.
a great role model for us, if you see.
Yes.
So we need
Exactly.
to create these ingredients, these elements in our life first, in order to be a great influencer, a great role model.
Exactly. That's very good. That's very good. I agree with you. Yes.
Okay. Okay, what is the key to influence people? What is the great key that you think to influence, to inspire, to motivate people around?
Yes. It all goes back to, and I keep things real simple. It goes back to the key is adding value to the people that you lead or serve. And see, and one of the things is we got to see ourselves as servants. Jesus said, or Isa al-Masih said, if you want to be the greatest, you must be the servant of all. He didn't mean, to let people always take advantage of you. That's not what he meant. He meant you've got to be the servant of all. You've got to be willing to let people into your lives and add value to them. Prophet Muhammad, peace be to him, Isa, peace be to him, they were adding value to people's lives. That's what they were doing. That's one reason people opposed them too. You know what I'm saying? They with the Qurayshi, and then with Jesus with his own people. And so, but one of the key ways is to add value to people's lives, to their lives. And we add value to people's lives. One way we do that is by listening to their story, being curious about them, finding the keys to their heart. Everybody has a key to their heart, and we just need to listen. It could be a kind act. It could be helping them. It could be a hug. You know, if you see a brother or a sister sees a sister, it could be, just listening. But we must learn part of that adding value, which I said is the critical part of influence, is listening, learning what makes people tick, learning what makes them, like, I love to hear people's stories. I do. I will sit and listen to their story. And after I hear their story, I'm like, well, I didn't know that about that person. I didn't know they were wired that way. And what it does is that it adds value, and learn their names. That's one of the greatest gifts you can give to another person or a student or to a teacher, is to learn their names. Whenever we hear they say the sweetest sound to a person is to hear someone call their name. When you learn someone's name, they respond differently to you. It's been proven. This is crazy. There was a study done. This is true. In the United States, there was a study done on milk cows. Cows that we milk, and they found that the cows that the farmers gave them names and said their names to gave more milk, 30% more milk. So it works. If it works with animals, it must work with people, So even animals like to have a name and be named. So, yeah.
And of course, it's a reality of the life that if you are creating something good and in your
Yes.
part, the difficulties will come, but you need
Yes.
to go on, like, do good anyway. Do good
Yes.
anyway.
Exactly.
Good thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think this is Mother Teresa's poem. So do good anyway. People will
Yeah.
come in your life like something.
Yes.
My question is that how to gain trust?
Well, one of the biggest ways to gain trust is to keep your word. You know what I mean? That's how you gain trust, is you keep your word to your, if it's in the student context, the student or students to their teachers, keep their word. That goes back to, and when you do that, you build trust. You know what I mean? You build trust. And the other is to deal with our character defects. Everybody has some character defects, whether it could be anger, it could be not keeping the word, it could be overindulging, it could be when someone puts themselves down. That's a character defect. So if we keep our word and we grow and we're honest, about our mistakes, and we deal with those things, that builds trust. That builds trust. Like if you have someone that's behavior has been negative, and they start changing that over time, it builds trust. You see what I'm saying? You say, that person's made some shifts. I can trust them.
Very good. You're sharing very good thoughts with
Mm.
us. Okay. So how can we use our writing and communication skills to influence, to motivate other peoples to get success in their lives?
Yeah, that's a
How?
good question. I think that, well, one thing, we live in a wonderful time technologically. Um, just think about it. You're in Pakistan. I'm in North Carolina. We're thousands of miles away. I can send you a Facebook message in a second, and you get it right then. It used to be, 50 years ago, you couldn't do that 10 years ago. I mean, it was when the American Revolution happened on July 4th, King George of England wrote in his journal on July 4th, nothing important happened today. And there was a whole revolution, but he didn't find out about it for 6 weeks because of everything had to go by boat. So we live in a time where we can literally touch the whole world right now through technology, through blogs, writing on the internet and YouTube. And so one of the things I encourage people to do is to blog, to start a YouTube channel is one thing they can do. And the way they can impact people positively is to share their story with the world. Everybody has a story. You know what I mean? People can share how they overcome. People can share how they build a business. People can share how they grow a garden. I mean, there's a lady in Mexico. Okay, she has 1 million subscribers, and she has this farm. I mean, little ranch in Mexico. She's probably 70, and she started a YouTube channel, and it's called From My Kitchen to Your Home. And she shows how she cooks over an open fire. People love it. But she's impacting the world positively because she's sharing of her life, you know? So everybody has something to share, something to teach, something to give. You just got to figure out what that is. And then you can share it in multiple ways, you know, whether it's through social media, whether it's through, your writing. Yeah. So there's multiple ways that it can be done. Yeah.
Great. Okay. So anything that is for the sake of improvement, for sake of learning, for inspiration, that
Yes.
is something which is to influence. Like you
Yes.
give example of cooking, and there are many channels of teaching, etc.
Yeah.
And in Pakistan, you see that the many people like the fun to entertain the
Yeah.
people. There is a great entertainer here in Pakistan who is not, he's illiterate. He belonged to a very poor family, and then
Uh-huh.
his friend uploaded a video of his, just fun. He was
Yeah.
talking, the
Yes.
entertainment. So he became famous with the one video, and he didn't know about a single word how to write, what is
Yeah.
technology, what is YouTube channel, and
Yeah.
people get inspiration. And today, believe me, that he has millions followers in Pakistan. He lives in
Wow.
in Hyderabad, Sindh, and now he's very
Yeah.
famous because he spread, smile in the face of people. He makes them
Yes.
laugh, and that's the
Yeah.
reason he's an icon of influence. This is
Yes.
also influence, which I believe.
Yes. Exactly. He's bringing joy to the world. That's influence. People
Yes,
want joy. People,
joy.
one of the number one channels, um, YouTube channels. I think his name is Dahan. I cannot remember his last name, but they're all positive stories. You know, he does things about kindness and stuff, and he's got over 1 billion views. You know, and I think I don't know what his nationality is. He might be Indian. He might be Pakistani. I'm not sure, but he lives in the West. But all he does is have these little short stories, and people love it. You know, people want to be
Yes,
inspired. We're not going to get inspiration, unfortunately, from most of our leaders, and we're not going to get inspiration,
very true.
often even in our religious circles, often. So, yeah, that's really good. Oh,
That's the reality. Okay. How to identify the barrier to success and how to overcome it.
the barriers to success. I think a lot of the barriers are here in our minds. Um, we believe things that tell us we can't succeed. Um, Often, a person may come from a family that told them you'll never be anybody, you'll never amount to anything, you'll never be successful. No one in this family has ever been successful, so you're not going to be successful. Oh, why go to school? You're never going to be able to get a master's degree or a doctorate degree, or why? You know. So what happens is the barriers are usually in our minds. And what happens is our minds will tell us all the reasons we can't succeed. And unfortunately, what we do is, if we believe those things, we won't succeed. The times in my life where I have not done well have been when I have believed things that weren't true. You know what I mean? Or got stuck in a defeat. Every one of us has points in our lives where we have failed, or where we did not shine as brightly as we could have, or we had setbacks and struggles. And so the first thing is to identify, what am I believing right now? You know what I mean? Is this thought helping me or hurting me? Is it going to take me to where I want to go? And the other is a barrier is our character weaknesses. There are weaknesses. There are people in this world who are smart and intelligent and creative, but they just can't get along with people. You know what I mean? They are volatile. They get angry. They can't work with people, but they're gifted. You know what I mean? But they can't succeed because they don't know how to add value to people's lives. They're always, or they don't. They see people as service people. a character issue can be that we're too sensitive. You know what I mean? We're too sensitive to people. And so we have to learn how to manage that. We have to say, okay, all right, I'm too sensitive on this, so I need to back up and not say anything before I get myself in trouble. You know what I mean? And another barrier is we can get jealous of other people's success. That's one I have seen leaders that had people around them that I have coached, these leaders, and they start getting jealous of the success of the people around them. I said, no, you're not thinking right. You want your team to do better. In fact, your goal should be they do better than you. Because if they do better than you, you're just going to make more money if you're if they do better. And Dale Carnegie said, and he wrote How to Win Friends, Influence People. He said one time he had, I think, 40 millionaires working for him. And somebody said, how did you get 40 millionaires to come and work for you? He goes, they weren't millionaires when they came to work for me. You see, he turned these 40 people into millionaires. You see what I mean? And he celebrated their success. So, and others, fear. Fear is a barrier. Fears, you know how it is with YouTube. You could look at YouTube and say, oh my gosh, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do this. So once I learn all that stuff, then I can do it. And it's, as Sean Cannell, who trained me, says, make the video, punch fear in the face. You know what I mean? Just get it out there, learn, grow, do it. And so fear, our character defects and the limiting beliefs are the lies that Shaitan has put in our heads, and often through our childhood and through some bad experience, can be barriers to success.
Now, please teach my students and audience that how they can become person of influence.
Yeah, I can do that. In fact, I have this an acronym, I call it. So if they're listening, I'm going to encourage them. I want to just take notes on this. Okay. So if you want to do that, the first one, we're going to call this influencer. So the I in influencer stands for integrity with people. So if you want to influence people, integrity with people, you have to keep your word. You have to be honest. Don't cheat in school. When I help you, you may get by, but in the end, it won't help you with your influence. Don't take shortcuts. Don't take shortcuts. Do the work in school. And really give of yourself. The letter N in influencer stands for nurture people. So what we are saying, integrity with people is the I. The N is nurture people, love and help people up. That's what that means. To nurture people, you're loving them, you're helping them up, you're adding value to their lives. Okay. I had a teacher like that one time. I had a teacher. Her name was Brenda Fuller, many, many years ago. And when I was in, do you call it secondary school, high school, secondary school? I don't know what you call it. But she believed in me, and she just kept pushing me. I'd get aggravated, but she just believed I could do more than I could. And so she nurtured me and got me involved in all kinds of stuff, and it changed my life. The F in influencer is faith in people. If you want to influence people, you got to have faith in them. If you don't have faith in people, you're not going to have influence. And if you're not going to add value to people's lives, you're going to see them all as losers but John Maxwell says, put a 10, the number 10 on everybody's head. 10 means excellent. People will rise to your expectations of them. If you don't think they can do something, they won't do it. So put a 10 on their head until they prove otherwise. The letter L in influence is listens to people. So if you want to be an influencer, you got to listen to people. You got to learn their names, be curious, ask good questions, be a learner of them. Say, I have one client who works with horses. I know nothing about horses. She's taught me a lot about horses. I've asked lots and lots of questions about horses. It's been fascinating. Okay. So listen to people. The U in influence is understand people. Okay, understand people. So find out what their dreams are, what makes them happy and sad and angry, and what makes them sing, what causes are near their heart. The E in influencer is enlarge people. Enlarge them. Okay, and how do you do that? one way you enlarge people is by you keep growing yourself. If you keep growing, Shafiq, as a teacher and expanding yourself and your channel and doing these things, it's going to enlarge other people. You see what I mean? When we start rising, the people we're influenced, they start rising with us. Just like those men who worked with Dale Carnegie weren't millionaires when they came, but they rose with him and became millionaires because of his influence. The N in influencer stands for navigate for people. That means help people get to where they need to go and you help them get what they want, need in life. Some people don't know. Some people just need some help. They just need some guidance. They need a road map. They need somebody to believe in them, The C in influencer, if you're taking notes, is connect with people, okay? And we've talked a lot about that. Find the key to their hearts. The E stands for empower others. And that simply means work from your strengths and empower others to help you in the areas of your weaknesses, empower them and let them go. Don't give somebody a job and then be inspecting them all the time. You know what I mean? If you give them a job, say, okay, you're going to do it. Whenever I had a team of leaders around me and I gave them a job, unless they proved to be incompetent, I didn't feel like I had to be at every meeting. I didn't feel like I had to do everything they did. I empowered them. And then lastly is reproduce others. What does that mean? If we add value to other people's lives, they're going to add value to other people's lives, and we're going to reproduce more influencers by our good example. So that's an acronym, and how they can become influencers. Yeah.
Great. And one question is there from one of comment that who is the best leader you ever find?
Wow. That is who's the best leader I've ever found? Well, for me, I would have to say, first of all, I love the leadership model of Jesus, of Isa al-Masih, how he taught to love your neighbors yourself and to love God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength, and how to make peace with our enemies. And the way he really lived the servant leadership model. He added value to people. He added value to people that no one else was adding value. So I would say him. But I have to say the other two. I have three actually. One is Mahatma Gandhi. I really appreciate Mahatma Gandhi, and I also appreciate really love the Prophet Muhammad and the way he took a nation of people who were worshiping 360 gods and led them to monotheism. And Martin Luther King is one of my favorites, and Nelson Mandela. These are people that I never get enough of. They are people that were outstanding leaders, and some have even called them avatars. They were such outstanding leaders. They moved history by their example, and yet they were very humble people. They were people, they did not have great power or wealth, but they had great influence. You see the difference? They had great influence because the people that followed them believed that they cared more about them than they did their own ambitions and power.
Great. There's one great quote I would like you to comment on it. That you need to explain it. Like one child, one teacher, one pen, and one book can change the world. I would like you to comment on it.
Can you say that again? I didn't hear one. What was it?
One child, one teacher, one pen, and one book can change the world.
Yes, I think that one of the biggest problems in our world is illiteracy. It really is. And a teacher that's a good teacher, if he can teach a child to read, it doesn't matter if that child lives in a village. It doesn't matter if they live in a mansion. If they can learn to read, they can grow through reading books. You know what I mean? They can educate themselves. They can be better. It was said years ago, there was a man in who was building schools in Afghanistan, and free, was going in, still doing it. And he said one of his big things was he was wanting he a lot of the young girls were not getting educated, and he believed that he said, if I can educate in Afghani villages girls up to the sixth grade level, in elementary school, sixth grade level, when they become mothers, their children will never join the Taliban, or they'll never join groups, you know what I mean, that are going to spread violence. And he said, because he understood the way to change the world was through the mothers. You know what I mean? There's an old saying, the hand that rocks the cradle rules the world. So that was the power of education. He said that. So a teacher who helps a student and encourages them to write and to learn and gives them the right books can completely impact the destiny of that one child. And I know you've experienced that. You would not be an educator if you had not had someone along the way who believed, in you. And it's the same way if there's a handful of teachers in my life, had they not been there, I wouldn't have gotten as far as I've gotten.
You have read many books and you get inspiration. Which is the book that you like the most? You get inspiration, and why? Any
Wow.
book?
I read a lot of books. I have to think about that for a moment. Um, what's my favorite? I have so many.
I
you
know
know,
that you read it and you get inspiration. You yourself
yes,
are a leader, a coach, and you
yes,
mentor and inspiration for us. But any book
yes.
that you like the most and the reason, the why you
Well,
love it the
one
most.
book that I found very helpful to my life was Jack Canfield's book, The Success Principles. It was really good. It's just he's a good writer, um, and just walks through just the simple principles of success. The books by John Maxwell are outstanding books on leadership. They've really molded my thinking. They've really impacted my life. Of course, there's holy scriptures, the Bible has impacted the Bible really impacted my life. And I read the Quran also, and I really love what I'm learning there. And I love good memoirs, biographies. I love people. I love to read stories of people who've overcome things. You know what I mean? And there was a book I read, um, let's see, about 3 years ago that really influenced my life. And it's called The Alchemist. It's a novel. And it's a wonderful story about the hero's journey. So there's a lot. There's just a lot. I read so much, it's hard to narrow it down to one. But there have been some, like Seven Habits of Highly Successful People by Stephen Covey, John Maxwell's 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, and his book, How to Become a Person of Influence. I'm certified to teach that book. Impacted my life too. Yeah. So
Great thought. Well done. Before we start, last question, I would add something that I will need to ask something that my students, my colleagues, and many people around there nowadays in COVID-19, they have met a lot of YouTube channels. So what would you add? What would you suggest to that they should add in their channel to become a person of influence, to
yeah,
motivate people?
yeah,
What they should include in their channels? What type of
yeah,
content, or what are the ingredients of success in their channel? What they should aid it? What do you
yes.
suggest?
Well. First of all, I want to really encourage this. How this. How do you say this? I want to encourage, if I have a message for your people, your audience, I would tell them, first of all, as students right now, to make good grades. You know what I mean? To study. Don't let COVID keep you from, working on your skills. It's okay because in the West, our problem is we say go to school to get a good education so you can get a good position and you can make money and you can have material things. That's not bad, but it's not enough. Do you see what I mean? It's empty without God. It's all empty without God. And so I would say that one thing I would encourage them to do. I know right now it's expensive to buy books. It's expensive to do a lot of things. But Rehan Alawala, you know the name, Rehan Alawala, he has on his website about 4 or 5 books that you can download for free by authors. And one is, I want to encourage your students and your colleagues to go to Rehan's website and go to where he has books. And there's one book called How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. You can download it for free. Dale Carnegie's dead. Dale Carnegie was the one that had the guys that became all millionaires that worked for him. There's one called The World is Flat. That'll help your audience to see how the world really is, that it's not, and he has several books, 3 or 4 books. And I would encourage all your students to download those books and read them. They will help them raise their consciousness and influence and how to see the world. And then on the channels, I would figure out what is it that they uniquely want to say to the world. You know what I mean? What is it they uniquely want to do? Whether it is they want to tell stories, or during COVID-19, there's a lot more people watching YouTube than ever. More people, they're online than ever. But I would encourage them to talk about what they love. Just start talking about what they love doing, what they love in life. And if they do that, that's going to touch someone. I really do. Don't do things that don't really come from your heart. Do you know what I mean? Some people, if I don't like cooking, I don't need to be talking about cooking. If I don't like, and somebody else, just talk about what you love. Put yourself out there and see what God does. And when I tell them, don't get discouraged by how many views you have or right now or whatever. When you're starting out, hey, if you get 35 views on your first video, good. You'll get subscribers and you'll grow. And also there's a lot of free stuff online that you can watch. You don't have to. One is Sean Cannell. He's the guy. He also has, I have gone through his paid trainings. And I think I sent you an email about some of the things he offered. There's a lot of free stuff on how to better use your iPhone when making a video. It's free. You just watch it. And if you can't buy the equipment, there's always something you can learn. You know what I'm saying? There's always something you can learn. And most people don't think they have to have everything perfect, everything in place. And that's when we fail. That's a barrier to success. Remember we talked about that earlier? That's a barrier to our success. Yeah. So, but that's what I would encourage them to do.
At the end, if you would like to share something about your YouTube channel for our audience.
Yes. Thank you very much. I started my YouTube channel about 3 years ago. And I had made a video about 7 years ago on my blog. It doesn't even look that good, but I had, it was the story about how I became a peacemaker. And I was a person that used to hate Muslims, as you know my story. And God used a little Muslim boy in my life. I had an encounter with him in a Starbucks, and it was a sign from God to me. And from that moment on, I became a peacemaker between Muslims and Christians. Well, I felt like Allah led me to start a YouTube channel. He said, start a YouTube channel and post this video, and it will go way over 100,000 views. I thought, okay, that's crazy, Well, it's almost up to 300,000 views now, and it's just my story, and of how God changed my heart. And I'm posting stories on there. I took a break for a year because I was very ill last year. I had 2 major surgeries. The first one, I was lucky to be alive. And so I had to slowly kind of come back. But yeah, so my YouTube channel is about my peace stories, my journey. It's about, I'm trying to how I'm bringing Muslims and Christians together in friendship. It's about finding what we have in common, how we can work together, helping us understand our differences. Most of our differences are not as different as we think if we really talk them through and really look at our sacred text together. So it's designed to really be a bridge on getting Muslims and Christians to follow the straight path, I call it, together, and to do this as friends and allies and not as opponents or enemies or fighting to convert each other. And so, yeah, so it's had a lot of impact over the last few years. You know? And so, yeah,
It's
go
a
to my
great,
channel and subscribe if you want to. Check it out. Watch some of the videos. It'd be great.
it's a great honor for us that you share wisdom of knowledge regarding leadership. And thank
Mhm.
you very much. So nice of you. Inshallah, see you soon in another video session.
Yes,
Thank you very much.
and keep doing what you're doing. You're doing great, Shafiq, and you're going to go far.
Thank you very much. So nice.
Mhm.